everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hi if you're new, and welcome to my January reading wrap up. I don't normally film these videos, but I thought in 2023 let's give it a go, see if it's something you enjoy watching, if it's something I enjoy filming, and we're just gonna do it. So I'm gonna have to film this potentially in two parts because it's the 21st of January at the moment, but I've got a couple of books here I either need to return to the library or that I'm loaning, so to other people that want to read them. So we're gonna do it, okay? I started the year with a bit of a middle grade fest, which wasn't intentional. I mean, I wanted to start the year with light and fluffy books rather than anything heavy, but I didn't expect to read 3 middle grades one after another, but we did, and it was a good time. The first book I read was The Book That No One Wanted to Read by Richard Ayoade. Richard Ayoade is really quite a fun comedian. I started following him when he played Moss in the IT Crowd. Love that series, those series. And he's been in various things since. So I read one of his adult books and I was really intrigued to see that he'd released his middle grade, and I was like, yes please. And this book is basically written by a book that no one wanted to read, and it was basically the book having a bit of a moan and whinge about it. But it was really funny. I listened to it on Scribd, not sponsored, whilst reading it, and that just added to the experience because Richard Ayoade actually voices the book. But I would recommend reading the physical copy more so, or at least do both if you can, just because this is full of brilliant illustrations, which obviously you wouldn't appreciate if you just listen to it via audiobook. So I would recommend this if you just want a chill out middle grade. I read it in less than an hour, but it was just a bit of fun and it was a good time. It was a really good start to my reading year. Then I finished an audiobook that I'd actually started in December. So yes, it was a January finish, but it wasn't a January start. And that was The Treehouse Library, which is book 5 in the Pages & Co series. Now, I'm not going to tell you the description, give you a description of book 5, because that would be a spoiler if you've not read the rest of the series. I'm actually caught up with this series, which feels amazing at the moment, I have to say, because I have so many series started. But anyway, I digress. Pages & Co, middle grade series. We join Tilly and then her family and friends, but Tilly is a book wanderer, and that means that she can basically wander into books, and we also find out that characters can come out of books, and of course that gives a really magical middle grade experience. We have Anne of Green Gables, we meet, who else? We meet Alice in Wonderland. It's just a really sweet, pure middle grade. But, you know, there is some tough times in there, there's some emotional topics, and they handle really well in a really fun, magical way. So, really good start there. Then I actually ticked off one of the books on my NetGalley TBR, which made me feel very happy, and that was Song with the River by Jill Lewis. I got this out of the library. I have it on my Kindle, but because it was a middle grade, I thought I'd like to get a physical copy in case there's a load of pictures and that in there. There aren't, unfortunately. There's just this little riverbank at the end, at the bottom of the pages. But anyway, it was a really cute experience. There's only, what, 100 or so pages? And we join Carrie and her mum, they end up moving to the country to sort of start again, and things aren't going so well. The river floods and damages their business, and to keep afloat, keep going, beavers have to be introduced to the area. There's obviously some town opposition to the beavers. They get involved with trying to counteract that, and it's quite a heavy book. Grief is a feature of this book, but it is handled well. It is handled very well. It's very sweet. Learned a lot about beavers as well. Unexpected, but hey, it was fine. What did I read then? Oh, and then I don't want to say it went downhill, but then I picked up Flappy Entertains by Santa Montefiore. Again, this actually was on my NetGalley TBR, but because this has been one of my favourite authors, I was given this for Christmas, and I am grateful. because I will still own all her books, even if the last 3 haven't been 5 stars. And it's such a shame because with this author, she was a solid 5 star. I knew that if I picked up one of her books, it was a 4.5, but normally a 5 star. And then we hit a couple, I don't want to say duds, but there were features that didn't sit particularly well for me. And this is the sequel to Flappy Entertains. I don't like how Flappy Entertains finished, and therefore I was very nervous going into this. I thought, oh, what happened last book is going to be a big feature, it's going to really bother me, and it wasn't, it did. I'll be honest, it wasn't, it did. So Flappy herself is a very entertaining character. She is sort of the queen bee of Badley Compton. It's a little village out in the country. She would be sort of the equivalent, I suppose, of the head of the Women's Institute, if you are familiar with them. And she's into everything. She runs all the social events. She has a specific pew at the front of the church. She is the queen bee. And when newcomers come to the village, it's her sort of thing to make sure they know their place, etc. In this book, there are newcomers to the village and her family come to stay in Badley Compton. Those 2 elements of the story were great. They were fine. I have a problem when there's affairs discussed in a book and that there are no consequences of that, like it's accepted and it's fine. It doesn't sit well with me. And also there's a section in this where Flappy has weight concerns and she diets, but not particularly in a healthy and appropriate way. Again, that bothered me. The rest of the story, the actual main bit of the story, was fine and it was good, and I just wish that those other bits weren't in it, because then it would have been a really good read. So bit undecided quite how I feel about that in the whole rating world, but you know, it wasn't a particularly long read, and I'm still going to read everything that Santa Montefiore puts out because I've read a lot more good than I have not so good. What did I read then? Another audiobook, and that was Over the Woodward Wall by Shauna Maguire, who wrote the Wayward Children series. This was a cute little, I think, middle grade, where you join these 2 school children, Avery and Zib. Avery is very straight-laced, has a routine, cannot deviate from. Zib, a bit more chilled out, quite outgoing. They both, you know, they have very separate lives, but they end up going over the Woodward Wall, where they meet these characters. They've got to negotiate themselves back into the real world. It's a fantasy book. I thought it was really good. It was quite short. I think it was about a 4-hour audiobook, which of course double speed, only a couple of hours. But yeah, if you're into fantasy middle grade, would definitely recommend. I enjoyed it. Then I tried a romance book, and this book was very hyped on BookTube. I personally was very nervous reading it. I thought, I'm not going to enjoy this. That's The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood, and this was a 5 out of 5 star for me. I love this book. I could not put this book down. It was fantastic. I love the romance. So we joined Olive, and she ends up, it's a fake dating trope, and she ends up basically with this Adam Carlson, and it was so predictable, but you know what? I loved it. I loved the romance. I loved her friends. I actually quite like the science aspect here because they're both scientists and you learn a little bit more about what they're doing. I love the challenges that they came across, and I would highly recommend this book. I really, really would. Even with its predictability, I thought it was great. So I'm going to be picking up other books by Ali Hazelwood as soon as I can. Then I read book 8 in the Wayward Children series by Shauna Maguire, and that was Lost in a Moment and Found. This was really cute. I love the Wayward Children series. If you're not familiar with it, it is a fantasy series where you join children that tend to be going through a bit of a hard time, and they come across these doors that take them into other realms. It's a portal fantasy. And these doors end up being perfect for them. They take them to exactly where these children need to be. And when the time is right, if the time is right, they can return home. And then of course you've got the issue of them trying to get back into the everyday world, and we have Eleanor West's Home for Wayward Children, which are children basically that have been to these portal realms, they come back and they're struggling to fit in with normal life. So this is book 8. A lot of these books can be read independently, and this is definitely one of those. You've got, I have a feeling it's the odd books, and I'd have to check this, that sort of have continuation. Not particularly continuation, but the characters feature the same throughout. And then you have other books, the even books, including this one, that you can read as an absolute standalone. And I really like this. It dealt with really heavy topics. They all tend to, be it grief or abuse. And our character here, and I know it's Antoinette, but I can't remember what we called her. But she ends up having to flee her home, and she finds this door. And it's her experience, and basically Lost in a Moment and Found is she ends up in a place where lost things go and are found. And I suppose really, arguably, that includes her. But it was very emotional, but it was also very good. I love the portal fantasy. I love not knowing where the kids are going to end up. If you hear any noise, by the way, Duke is wandering around. And it was a really, really good read for me. I'm fluctuating between a 4 and a 5 out of 5 because the only reason is I preferred a couple of the other Wayward Children books more than this one, but I have to say it was still a very, very good read, and I will read every book that comes out in this series, and I hope that's not it. So the last book that I've read so far, up to the 21st of January, was Spare by Prince Harry. A lot of you have been very keen to know my opinion on this. You wanted to know if I am like team Harry and Meghan or I'm team royals. I'm not gonna tell you. No, it's just, I don't know. I'll be honest, I keep fluctuating ish. So I wanted to go into this not having heard all the media slating it, and of course you couldn't avoid it. You really couldn't. And it's tricky because if everything that's written in this book is true, then Harry and then Meghan as well went through a lot of shit they really did not deserve. And no one ever deserves to go through the abuse from the press that they have all gone through, royals or not. I'm sorry, no. You shouldn't have your life like put in jeopardy because you're being chased by the paparazzi. That's just wrong, it's disgusting. That being said, there's been a few things that have kind of been proven to be false in this, and it makes you question how much of this is true. Do you know what I mean? It sort of casts aspersions over the whole thing. So I am in that, I'm really split, because if this is completely true, then it's absolutely horrific what they went through. I'm still really pleased that I read it. I actually enjoyed the bit at the beginning where we find out a little bit more about his childhood, because we're kind of similar ages, which means that I didn't really see Prince Harry and William growing up and seeing how they've sort of come on, because we almost grown up at the same time. So I enjoyed hearing about his when he went to Eton. I liked hearing about his military experience, and his dating life, I suppose, pre-Meghan. I think I was too young to really sort of know what was going on, who he was with and what he was up to. So from that point of view, I thought it was a really good read, and I'm pleased that I read it. This is one of the books I'm loaning out. I'm sure you can guess that was the case. In which team I sit in, I'm not in one or the other particular camp, I'm afraid. I'm not sure. I really don't know how I feel about it. So anyway, that's where I'm at on the 21st of January, and hopefully I will be back with you in a few minutes with one or two other books I might read this month. I read more. I read a lot more. So I'm going to jump in. Let me get comfy. Are you comfy? Come join me down here. Right. So I finally finished A Skin Full of Shadows by Frances Hardinger, and I really wish that I hadn't. I don't like slating books, and I find it really hard to do that, but I gave this a very generous 2 out of 5 stars, and that was really hard for me to do. I wanted to love this book so much. I had tried to read this before, but I was determined to give it another go because I love the idea, and really it's where there's spirits that, with the naughty people controlling it, will go into your body and basically take you over. Possession, basically. And that could be used to do evil deeds. That's been the subject of many and a fantastic film. That's why I was hopeful for the book. It was just missing something. I didn't like the characters, any of them. I felt the description was in the wrong place. There were scenes that I was getting so bored, and I'm like, hurry up, you've told us this. It's obvious what's going to happen. Let's move on. Should I skip a chapter? I didn't. But then there were other things, like really, really big story plots that happened out of the book. So you just sort of had like, it came in a letter from someone that something had happened. And I'm like, but I wish you'd have told me about that rather than the paragraph or 600 that I just read on something else. So it was such a shame because this had so much potential and I was so excited to read this book. And I thought, oh, it's just me the first time. I wasn't in the right headspace. But alas, it didn't do it for me and it was such a shame. It just wasn't, I think it was just too slow paced. If you really like your book to be slow paced and dragged out and you like, I mean, yes, there was the magical element, but most of it was just present day with that kind of lobbed in for good measure. If that's your thing, then that's great. And I've read a lot of reviews on Goodreads that people absolutely love this book, but for me, it just didn't do it, which is such a shame because it took me weeks to read the book, but it's fine. Then I finished Court of the Vampire Queen by Katie Robert. Again, another book that took me weeks to read. It was very kindly sent to me on NetGalley to review and I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it. So basically we joined the main character whose name I've forgotten already. I'm so sorry. It was about a week or so now since I finished it. Oh, that's bugging me. And anyway, her dad sends her off to basically go get killed by a vampire. However, she ends up having a relationship with a vampire. There are other vampires that are brought in. So you've got Malachi, Wolf, Rylan. I remember their names. And they're sort of boosting her confidence. They're like, right, let's go kick ass with your dad. And we've got this. We're not going to let anything happen to you. And that was really cute. But there was so much smut. And between all of them, which was really quite nice. A couple of the guys went off. Then all four of them got in together. And it was really cool. The smut was good. I'll be honest, it was just a little bit too much smut. And there were a couple of bits that I read and I completely forgot about the plot. I would seriously, you would just read like a whole chapter of smut and then I put it down for a week or so and I'm like, oh yeah, she's fighting against her dad. Because it was just smut overwhelm. So yeah. It was good, but I actually have deducted a star purely for me it had too much smut in it and I can't believe I'm saying that. But the smut was good. Okay, it was good. Still recommend it for that basis. Right. Then I read Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. I loved this. I knew I was going to because I gave The Love Hypothesis 5 out of 5 stars. So I knew I was going to love this. And I've given this 4.5 out of 5 because although I loved it, it just didn't give me the same warm fuzzies that The Love Hypothesis did. But I loved it. So we joined B, who is given the opportunity to head up a project for NASA on some helmets for astronauts. I liked all the science elements here. I thought it was really fascinating hearing about all the things that they were doing. She ends up running the project with Levi, who she thinks hates her. And we go a fair chunk of the book where things are a little bit uncomfortable between the two. But then you know what's going to happen. There was drama, there was cats. It was just, it was really, really good. It was sweet. It's one of those really cute and predictable books. And you know you're safe reading it because it's just lovely. It's a really good time and I would recommend it. I know not a lot of people have loved it. They like it was very similar to The Love Hypothesis. For me, you can't have too much of a good thing. I read 20 books that are the same if they all made me feel good. So I was cool with it. Then I read a book, I don't really know what to tell you about it. I read the Lock and Key graphic novel. I got this at Yelk for £1 when I bought another book. It was weird. It was very weird. I didn't really get on with the series and I think maybe that's a bit unfair because I only gave it one episode. There is a series about this lock and key on Netflix, and I know there's a mansion and you put keys in the locks and you open the doors, and it's not what you expect. You could be in a whole other world. There could be things coming out of the doors and stuff, and that's what this was about. But it was just really weird. It was too weird for me, and I'm really gutted because I thought this was going to be a light and fluffy read, and it wasn't. I found it really hard. But I will probably actually give the series another go. But there were little stories in it, and there was sort of like, there was one right at the beginning where there's a doll's house involved, which is based on the mansion, and basically whatever happens in the doll's house appears to be what's happening in the household. And you, like, if you did some damage, shall we say, to something in the doll's house, then the person in the real house would suffer the result as well. A few stories like that were quite interesting. There was a crossover with The Sandman as well. That's a series. I need to watch the rest of that. I only watched the first 2 episodes on Netflix. Really like that. There's a story crossover with that as well. I don't know. Maybe in the future I'll give it another go. Maybe if I watch the whole Lock and Key series and the rest of Sandman, maybe that'll do a little bit more for me. But it was just weird. It was weird. I'm sorry. It was weird. What did I read then? Let me consult my list. Made in Manhattan. So, this was okay. It was okay. Do you know, the last like 30, 40 pages really picked this up for me, which was great. So this, again, it was one of those books I got sent by NetGalley, but it was actually in the Works' 3 for £6 fiction books. I thought, well, let's get a copy because I'm getting into romance. I might want a copy. And it had the predictable sort of storyline that you come to expect. So we join Violet, who is kind of like in society's elite, and she looks after this older lady who kind of brought her up. The old lady's grandson appears. He's a little bit rough around the edges, shall we say. And Violet has been asked to kind of, what's his name again? Kane. Has been asked to work with Kane, dress him properly, introduce him to the society, little things like show him how to behave. You know they're going to end up together. You know there's going to be drama. He doesn't take well to all this faffing about. But it was cute. For me, took a while to get going. That's why I think I really enjoyed the ending. It was kind of going down a solid sort of 2.5 to 3 star. And then I like the ending. I like it when the drama kicks in. And of course there was drama. So it was good. I would recommend it. I would. It was like, I don't know if you've seen Gossip Girl, you know, like Serena and Blair Waldorf court thing. That's kind of like the world that Violet's in. I suppose me, Croydon girl, bit chills. I would be Kane's level. And I'm happy with that, by the way. I'm not changing for anyone. But it was just fun. It was, you know, it was like that bit in The Princess Diaries where Kane sort of gets introduced to society after everyone's like, oh my goodness, is that really him? Yeah. It was fine. It was fine. It was a good time. Then, excuse me, I listened to an audiobook, and one thing I want to do this year is I want to finish series. So I listened to the Love Boat Reunion. I read Love Boat Taipei last year. It's like, I'm sure it's YA. It's got the YA vibe, where it's like a summer school in Taipei where various children go. You've got them falling in love. They're having their first experiences away from home. They're breaking the rules. So this was a follow-up, and it focused on Sophie and Xavier. And they had the family drama. They had the romance drama. You've got her trying to swear off guys and kick ass at uni or whatever. And, you know, then you've got Xavier, who's getting shit from his dad, and can they help each other out? And again, it was warm fuzzies. It was predictable. It was cute. That is a theme with a lot of books I've read this month. But it was good and I loved it. One more book. It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. This is a follow-on from It Ends With Us, and I love that book. That was a 5 out of 5 stars. And this book, and I think Becca from Becca and the Books describes this really well, which is this is a sequel we really didn't need, but it was a good time. And that is exactly what this was. We really didn't need this. We didn't need the follow-on for the relationship. It was left where it was sort of implied who was going to end up with who and what was going to happen. But it's put in a book, and do you know what? I loved it. I loved it. I didn't love it as much as it ends with us, because I think obviously that's got the really important message in it, which I'm not going to spoil. This one, it was kind of, there were family dramas, there were relationship dramas. You know, it was kind of, I suppose, highlighted that actually things aren't just smooth all the time, and, you know, the good comes with the bad and stuff, but there's still a potential for a happy ending. It was emotional and it was cute. So yes, it wasn't needed, but it was a good time. So that was my January wrap up. I hope you enjoyed it. If you made it to the end of the video, leave me some kind of book emoji. And if you like this video, please hit like, consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.